culture in Israel is heterogeneous. Israel's area unit typically direct, assertive, impelled, and bold. Here is Associate in-depth explore understanding the business culture and customs in Israel. It's smart to be told regarding the precise customs before inbound. This is Silicon Valley, a cluster of cities in Israel with one in every of the best concentrations of school firms and startups on earth. It's home to WazeWix, SodaStream, and Fiverr file additional patents per capita than just about four countries and is stratified the fourth most startup friendly nation overall, behind solely Canada, the UK, and the US. The distinction is those countries aren't adjacent to the Syrian war. 30 members of the international organization still don't acknowledge the existence of Israel, together with most of its neighbors. In fact, any proof of traveling there on any passport prevents you from visiting 8 of these countries owing to this. Israeli customs stamps aren't your passport, however a separate piece of paper. But despite all of this, despite the constant threat of terrorist attack, despite being solely slightly larger than Fiji and having simply 2.5% of the population of the US, Israel creates a number of the foremost palmy school firms and entrepreneurs within the world. More than some countries and cities have tried charming school firms with tax breaks, grants, free 21 food cacti, and different completely traditional things, however, nearly as several have unsuccessful. On the opposite face of the Arabian Peninsula, Port engineered what it calls free zones areas with special incentives to draw inbound styles of firms like biotech companies, motion picture studios, and technological firms. At first look, Dubai Internet City feels like an excellent success, and to some extent that is true. It's convinced Microsoft, Cisco, IBM, HP, and Canon to take a position countless bucks within the middle of the desert at a time once the longer term approach was way more unsure. However, having lovely buildings with noted logos on them isn't an equivalent as making associate atmosphere of innovation. You will notice lots of the previous within the Cayman Islands. However, it's not precisely the initial place that involves mind once you think about cutting edge research. Meanwhile, geographical area is despite its terribly high price of doing business. In different words, tax breaks might bring firms, however not essentially innovation. Companies come back to port for the most part for its promise of no financial gain or company tax for 50 years. However, typically just for selling support and sales, whereas hiring most of their engineers within the US, India, and Israel. Their area unit theory basic ingredients to a prosperous tech scenario. The primary is talent. One in every of the simplest predictors of that is, unsurprisingly, education. Primarily place a bunch of good, bold folks during a tiny, contained area, sprinkle in some idealism, ideas can collide and beneficial stuff can happen. Israel is one of the foremost educated countries in the world. Regarding 47% of these over 25 have a diploma. The Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv University, and therefore the Israel Institute of Technology Area Unit, all globally competitive faculties. And because the country is simply therefore tiny and its population therefore extremely focused in exactly some regions, it's an equivalent fertile ground for entrepreneurship as a university field at a far larger scale. Regarding 92 of Israel's broad urban areas, nearly entirely within the northern 50% of the country. Startups therefore are encircled by their customers, business partners, and competitors. The other face of talent that's typically unmarked, however even as vital, is demographics. Not simply however huge a population is, however additionally what it is like. As an example, it's deceptive to mention solely that Japan has 126 million folks and Ethiopia 98. Japan's population is also giant, however, it takes associate unfortunate form, so much too many aged folks for not enough young. Unless millions of Japanese suddenly switch their minds and begin having kids tomorrow, the land of the rising sun can slowly set as Africa grows into consequent major client market. Now Israel's growth isn't quite therefore dramatic, however it's growing. That is quite you will say regarding the longer term of most developed countries, together with all of Europe, the US, Canada, Australia and China. The problem isn't that Japan doesn't have working aged folks. When its population shrinks, there will long be millions and countless employees. However, they will be busy caring for his or her oldest stars, not inventing consequence huge issue. Israel meanwhile has enough people to worry for the recent and young, with lots left over. It additionally has some additional help immigration. The law of comeback permits any soul, their domestic partner, children, grandchildren, and even their non Jewish domestic partner to come back to Israel and receive citizenship. Their area unit even scholarships to hide your expenses that the sole issue Silicon Valley hates quite cheap housing is missing out. Investors pour cash into firms whose solely talent is rising the speed at that they will flush 100 greenback bills down the bathroom just because they don't need the sensation of getting lost a chance. SoftBank. Once word gets out that somewhere like Israel is sweet at manufacturing high value startups, finding investors became exponentially easier. The additional checks area unit written, the additional risk capital companies concentrate. Israel's government got the ball rolling within the 90s with huge incentives for anyone willing to come back to take a position within the country. Today, 4.5% of its total gross domestic product is spent on adolescence and development. That is simply barely, but initial place Asian country. Now, manufacturing numerous good young graduates and giving them bundles of money is cool and everyone, unless they take those skills with capital to California, giving Americans the roles in Texas. The third ingredient is, therefore, a high standard of living. Israelis want to remain in the country. On one hand, entrepreneurs and workers care regarding aid, crime, transit, and so on. But it's a balance because as salaries rise, firms area until less drawn to the lower price of hiring associate Israeli engineer, presently $73,000 over, say a Californian $114,000. Salaries area unit therefore high within the point of entry base space as an example that if you're feeling significantly low cost, you may simply obtain a $20 million personal jet to save lots of cash. Therefore, you will rent workers in less expensive Houston and fly them over for the workday. Israel has got to be engaging enough for folks, however, not therefore big ticket that companies look elsewhere. Together, these three ingredients go an extended manner towards creating Israel one in every of the school capitals of the globe. However, there is additionally another, tougher to live but no less real issue to consider: culture. If you graduate from Stanford with a degree in applied science on weekday, there's a really real probability you will work into a Facebook or a Microsoft on weekday and begin creating $100,000+ a year. In several Asian countries, the culture of saving face makes entrepreneurship impossible for several. The reputational injury of failure is solely too nice. In Israel, however, a spirit of impudence, roughly audacity or bravery has simply the alternative impact. Israel is one in every of some of nations that needs long military service for everybody, 3 years for men and a pair for ladies. Throughout their service, Israelis learn skills that apply to the geographic point, build long friendships and business partners, and area unit reminded that their country can't be content. Ultimately, Israel proves that there is no single issue to economic success. It is high rates of education, numerous government investment, and particularly considering its geographics, a powerful common place of living. So, guys, this was for today. Give us your thoughts on this in the comment section, and if you appreciate our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends. We will meet soon in a new video. Thank you. Jai Hind.